Wollen Sie das gerne mal probieren, hier auf der Scheibe einen Hubel zu drehen?
Oh, I'd love to try. Yeah.
Okay.
Basic shape.
I never worked with porcelain before either. You just give it a push. No pressure.
My name's Russell Beard, and I'm a potter. I usually work with the indigenous clays of my Scottish homeland. I've never worked with porcelain.
It feels so different to a normal stoneware. There's no sensation of any texture or grains. It just feels like silk.
Human hands have crafted pots from baked earth since the dawn of civilization. Earliest records reveal pottery fragments discovered in the southern regions of China dating back 20,000 years. Over thousands of years, Chinese craftsmen advanced their ceramics traditions, leading to the creation of an art form that would soon be heralded as the hallmark of elegance and sophistication. Porcelain first arrived in Europe through the Silk Road trade routes during the Middle Ages, available only to the very wealthy.
I think they would have been astonished by its brightness, its cleanness, and its shininess, and the ability to create these sort of very complex designs. A lot of European pottery at the time had very simple designs, nothing nearly as complex as this.
As maritime routes were established by the Portuguese and the Dutch in the 16th and 17th centuries, the import of porcelain increased substantially.
Replacing all of that brown earthenware and green lead glaze ware with this beautiful blue and white porcelain. And you've got the many Silk Roads which brought porcelain across Asia into Europe, but you've also got the maritime routes. And then you've got to think of the scale of the trade. One boat would carry 23,000, 30,000, 50,000 pieces.
The allure of this exotic, glossy material captivated all who encountered it, leaving Europe transfixed and igniting a quest to unravel the secrets of what had become known as white gold. Mijsen, a small town in the German state of Saxony, once part of the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth. At the center of the town there is a castle used by Polish King Augustus the Strong to launch a grand endeavor.
Who is this guy, Augustus the Strong, and how on earth does he fit into the story of porcelain in Europe?
I think even he had no real idea of the Chinese porcelain. It was exotic, it was expensive, and definitely he loved it also. And these pieces are here to show what sort of Chinese porcelain influenced the king, late Ming and 18th century porcelain, which were brought to Europe. He was fond of this porcelain and collected it, and after a while had the idea to make his own porcelain.
For this, Augustus employed the services of an alchemist, Johann Friedrich Böttger. Böttger claimed he could make gold from lead, but he was also tasked with working out what this new Chinese pottery was made of and how to recreate it.
Two things came together: a king with high ambition, good taste, and a guy who pretended to be able to make gold, Mr. Böttger.
Wow, excellent. So this is him, this is the guy.
Yeah.
They did things a little differently back then, and Böttger wasn't employed for his services. He was imprisoned in the king's castle, where they demanded that he make both gold and porcelain.
What do you think the kind of driving force was behind the king? Like, why did he care so much about porcelain?
On the first line, it was status.
Status.
Everything which was rare, which was brought from abroad, was interesting. You could show how educated you were.
After years of intense chemical exposure and countless failed experiments, Bottger finally created that first true European porcelain.
And after a while, he was lucky enough to have a good composition, and this is a recipe.
It turned out the key ingredient in porcelain was a powdered clay called kaolin. With the right amount of this, you could achieve the translucent, almost glass-like finish that was so elusive to nearly every European craftsman.
And so this palace in the summer of 1710 became the first European porcelain factory.
Why did they put it on the castle? Because it was well protected. These recipes were holy. No one was allowed to see them.
Unlocking porcelain's secrets was a triumph, but without kaolin, the quest was far from over. At this time, that rare, pure white clay could only be found in one place.
Jingdezhen is known as China's porcelain capital, as it's the main centre for producing porcelain from the 12th century all the way to the present day.
Jingdezhen's kaolin deposits are so vast and pure that they supplied the world with porcelain for almost 1,000 years.
It's uniquely placed because it's on a crossroads of waterways for transportation. It's surrounded by forests for wood to fuel the kilns, with kilns which snake like dragons up the sides of these mountains, and also the deposits of the clay and porcelain stone are nearby.
Meanwhile, the king's new porcelain was still struggling to match the brilliance of its Jingdezhen predecessor.
The very interesting thing about Mijsen, perhaps a little mystic even, when they invented porcelain here, they were working with kaolin, with a material which they got from about 80, 90 kilometers away from here. And 50 years after they had invented porcelain here, and this is when you have to think there are things that happen between heaven and earth which are very special. They found the purest and most valuable kaolin within 3 kilometers vicinity of this place here. And we're still using this kaolin today. And this has been one of the factors why continuity has been ensured here for over 300 years now.
The coincidence is off the charts.
Really a lot of coincidence, yes, and it's just wonderful.
Over 300 years later, just a few miles from the original production site, the world's smallest mine still extracts some of the purest kaolin on Earth.
Yeah, so it's very loose, right? Is this what they're talking about when we hear this idea of white gold?
Ja, ja. Das Kaolin wird als weißes Gold bei uns bezeichnet. Unter Tage stellt man sich immer vor, es ist dunkel und es ist schwarz. Bei uns ist es unter Tage hell durch dieses weiße, helle Material. Deswegen auch als weißes Gold bezeichnet.
This high-quality primary deposit soon established Mijsen porcelain as one of the whitest in the world.
To the uninitiated, this looks very Chinese. But
Yeah.
you're saying this was made here,
It was meant to look Chinese.
right?
They called it chinoise.
Chinoiserie.
Everything which pretended to,
Yeah.
be Asian was fashionable.
This early Mijsen porcelain was so remarkably similar to its Chinese counterpart that third-party traders often passed it off as authentic, more expensive Chinese pieces. But this didn't please Augustus. He decreed that his porcelain needed to be signed.
The Swords of Mijsen, that brand originated in 1722 into the European Trade Register. It's the first brand that was ever registered. It was Mijsen porcelain.
For decades, Mijsen remained the dominant force in European porcelain manufacture. As its secrets began to spread, competing regions emerged, such as Vienna in neighboring Austria and Sèvres in France.
that led to porcelain as a material to be used in households, to be used as art objects, being spread out in the Western Hemisphere.
Meisen's early creations drew inspiration from the exoticism of the East, becoming sculpted works of art in their own right.
These fantastic beasts, 1734.
These artworks evolved alongside items of utility, proving that function and beauty could go hand in hand.
And that was the beginning of an era where porcelain found its way to determine tableware culture in Europe.
The desire for this material and product was everywhere, yet not all were blessed with white gold beneath their feet. This drove innovators to seek out alternatives that would rival even the finest porcelain.
This is still earthenware, but this is how they make it look like porcelain. They're super thin, really light, beautiful, but they're not porcelain.
And then a term emerged in the UK, bone china, that aptly traces back to where porcelain began.
If there was a thread that you could connect from the original porcelain manufacturing that went on back in the day, thousands of years ago in China, how does it connect up with bone china and the porcelain equivalents that are being made here in the UK?
So you definitely would have a line going all the way from China to the continent to the British Isles. And I think it was this pursuit of whiteness and having this really beautiful white translucent body that was pure canvas to paint on it. And bone china is similar to continental porcelain, but it's also different. Both are white, both are translucent, both are beautiful, but the main difference is really in the recipe. So as the name almost indicates, bone china actually contains bone ash, and it makes this clay after firing really bright white. That was what made Chinese porcelain attractive. That is what made continental porcelain attractive, and that is something that certainly the English potters wanted to be able to make here as well.
Over the centuries, the manufacturing processes behind European porcelain and its offspring have been refined.
I think that's what, when people think about pottery, this is kind of what they imagine.
Wheel-throwing techniques were first developed in China over 2,000 years ago. Today, it remains an integral part of ceramics workflows, preserving the human touch and skill that machines cannot replicate.
So he puts the blank now into the mold and will press the clay against the inner wall.
Alongside this, the Chinese later pioneered the use of molds for shaping and decorating ceramics, allowing for greater consistency and intricate details.
Isn't it beautiful? 19th century decorative relief.
In the 18th century, Europeans advanced ceramic production with the development of slip casting.
Look how silky that is.
An innovation that enabled the efficient and precise replication of complex shapes.
So you need the liquid porcelain paste for thousands and thousands of products.
This breakthrough laid the foundation for large-scale manufacturing, making porcelain more widely available than ever before.
This is, despite all of the industrial equipment, we're still seeing good old-fashioned manual work.
Yeah, as it was 300 years ago, the same way of glazing.
Glazing is the final alchemy of porcelain, transforming raw clay into a luminous, glass-like surface.
It's interesting, isn't it? I mean, to the untrained eye, that looks like she's just covering up all of that precise brushwork and she's just painting over it, right?
It would be a pity, wouldn't it? Yeah. But of course she doesn't do, she covers it with glaze, but the cobalt blue, the painting will be even more fascinating after the second firing.
Cobalt blue on white porcelain is one of the most iconic decorative styles in history.
Basically, blue and white porcelain starts in about 1320 when the Mongols are ruling China, and they certainly used it both for the domestic market and for export. So I think from its very beginnings, it was conceived of as an international product. And now you could liken it to denim jeans or Coca-Cola. It's a sort of ubiquitous global product originating in China, but now made in local copies all over the world.
The decorating process moved beyond the iconic blue and white. New color palettes and evolving styles truly gave European manufacturers their own identity. Yet even in Europe's latest collections, traces of China can be found hidden in plain sight.
And so these look quite traditional in a sense.
This is the very classic and iconic onion pattern. The inspiration came from the Far East. We know this belongs to our DNA from the beginning. So we don't only develop new, we also take the old plates and combine them in a new style so that you see it in a different way.
I like that idea. There is a continuity that takes us all the way back to China. Can't help noticing this dragon, and that's a clear reminder of the kind of heritage.
But this Ming dragon is actually very Europeanized. But in China, they did not accept the dragon. The dragon needs 5 claws. The Ming dragon from Mijsen has only 4, and this is not acceptable.
Wow, that's fascinating. No way. Can I see?
We have
right enough, 1, 2, 3. Okay.
Yes.
Wow. Isn't that brilliant? I mean, if you hadn't pointed that out, who would notice? But to our eyes,
yeah,
that's fascinating.
Over the centuries, the influence of Chinese porcelain has sparked both imitation and innovation, and led to the birth of many distinct European styles. Today, porcelain serves as both an item of everyday utility, while still remaining an inspiration for artists eternally drawn to its timeless beauty.
One of the interesting things about porcelain today is how blue and white has been revitalised by Chinese artists and Western artists working at Jingdezhen, some on a truly huge scale. So I think that it's very exciting as a material that it's still sparking innovation in artists across the world.
It's very white, which is magical. So the colour radiates. It has a fantastic depth and the glaze shimmers.
Today, artist Felicity Aleph explores what can be achieved when European and Chinese sensibilities and talents come together.
Wow.
Gosh.
Big forest of blue.
Oh my goodness.
That's exactly how I want people to feel, that you walk in here and you just see this big forest of pots, and it's so unexpected to see porcelain on this scale.
This is absolutely fantastic, isn't it? My goodness.
Well, I'm glad you feel the excitement of it.
I do. They're so dynamic.
But you can see they're made.
Amazing.
They're made in sections,
yeah.
so.
And you can actually feel the ripples from where they've been, because these have been hand thrown.
They've been hand thrown.
This is
amazing. Maybe I can show you more easily on this one. This is probably the largest in height you can make.
In a sense, they look simple forms, but for anybody who's ever tried to throw anything on a wheel, they will understand the technical skill required.
In England, I worked in my own studio, on my own, struggling with everything. In China, that offered the opportunity to work with a group and to tap into what were really some extraordinary skills that go back hundreds and hundreds of years. So it's a team of 4 people that throw these sections. You can see the different sections.
So tell us about this Jingdezhen. It sounds fantastical, really.
It is very magical. There's nowhere else I know that has a whole city that has all these workshops doing these stunning pieces of work.
You don't really depend on, you squash it on.
You squash it on.
But how many you squash it is important.
In China, collaboration is the norm. Different processes will go from one workshop to another workshop. You know, there's a lot more flow between techniques.
So talk a little about that collaborative process, because often we're thinking of potters as being these kind of solitary creatures. Like, how was that, making that shift for you?
Well, it wasn't easy, and it was finding a way to collaborate. I don't speak the language, so it was mainly through drawings. And when we opened the kiln and things had collapsed, and both parties thought, this is it, we've had enough. But in fact, once we'd talked about, well, what is going wrong? How can we put it right? It's a bit crazy, like people climbing mountains. You know, you want to get to the top. Wow.
Like climbing a mountain, working with porcelain on this scale is a test of patience, precision, and perseverance.
That was part of what the research was about, was to see how far we could push this material. And I knew I couldn't make them in England. I couldn't work on this scale. They don't have the technology. They don't have the clay, the porcelain.
Well, yeah, so it takes us all the way back down to literally the soil and the earth beneath the feet, right?
The city wouldn't be there without the porcelain.
Right.
Yeah. It is a magical material, this Jingdezhen porcelain.
Jingdezhen's rich kaolin deposits have shaped the city's destiny for over 1,000 years. And like Mijsen, these cities are intrinsically linked, defined by the earth beneath them, calling out to be crafted into the world's finest porcelain.
When we talk about Jingdezhen as the birthplace of porcelain, I mean, this is Jingdezhen. You literally have brought a piece of that place.
Absolutely.
Here.
It's the material, it's the skills, it looks back to the historical techniques in a new way, so it's very much Jingdezhen.
Felicity's work brings a fresh vision to a centuries-old path, from east to west.
One of the interesting things about porcelain is its versatility. And in a way, whatever you could create is only limited by the imagination.
Bringing this craft into the future, Chinese-born contemporary artist Lin Wang shows how porcelain can still tell new stories, exploring progressive themes of identity, evolving our cultural exchange.
I think the material itself already tells a lot of stories. Porcelain is one of the first globalization item in the world. I feel I could borrow this piece of history that telling my personal story.
Lin maintains studios in Jingdezhen as well as here in Oslo. Her own life journey reflects the journey of porcelain itself.
I mean, we've been following the journey of porcelain. Could you talk a little bit just about the material itself?
It's obsession. Once you start to work with material, it's so hard to control and it needs a lot of experience until you can make a sort of perfect one.
And would you talk us through some of the pieces that you've brought out for us today?
This one is one of my favorite pieces. The title of this work is The Harbor Romance. They're the sailor tattoos. And I also feel that as an artist from another culture, move to a new country, I feel I'm like a sailor. I'm not belong to one identity anymore.
And so what about this guy? I feel like he's trying to get in on the conversation.
The artist and the material escape back and forward to encouraging each other, to shape each other, and to create magic of each other. And it's a journey to allow the material become part of yourself.
Lin's art has achieved international success at prestigious exhibitions, highlighted by her acclaimed solo show, The Silk Roads. This piece references the Silk Road trade routes and features over 30 different cobalt blues from the connected regions, made up of over 22,000 individual porcelain pieces.
Because all these blues are traveling and gathering from everywhere in the world. Like this one is typical Somali blue. After hundred years of trading between West and East, we already changed the social landscape of each other. There's no pure West, no pure East exist. You're already part of me, I'm already part of you.
Could you have had a similar effect if you'd been working with just a standard earthenware or stoneware clay?
Oh, only porcelain has this magic.
And now I show you how fine
Oh, wow, yeah.
particles are.
The magic ingredient.
Yeah, the soul of the porcelain.
I love that, the soul of the porcelain.
Yeah.
In the history of porcelain, they always reflect something about the time that they've been made, about how people live or lived, and reflect the values of the times.
There is a huge cultural exchange occurring through this material. Skills, knowledge, know-how, which has been passed down from generation to generation.
What is the importance of having this kind of physical connection between China and Europe?
God, it's totally, increasingly important to have another sense of what the different countries can offer and how we can connect. I needed the expertise that China could offer to do this. So it is very much that bringing together of cultures.
In every piece of porcelain, traces can be found not only of China, but the world that it touched, shaped and inspired.
It's a sort of Chinese dish with European patterns, Chinese patterns, and Iranian patterns all fused in one.
Wow.
A material and art form that continues to carry ideas, identities, and conversations across cultures and time.
I mean, this is a very different piece, right? It's a Colombian artist responding to social and political challenges. And through this, you can see how artists are continuing to find relevance in porcelain as a material, the material being the message.
Porcelain is the most fragile material. Somehow if you don't break it, it keeps memory stories forever.